We're going to solve this quadratic equation by completing the square. First thing you got to do is take the constant to the other side. So I'm going to subtract that 21 over there. And once I do that, I leave a little space right here. So I got x squared plus 10x. I leave a little space where that thing was. And I'm going to take half of this b term. Half of 10 is 5. 5 squared is 25. So you take half of the b term, square it, it goes in that blank right there. Once you do one side of the equation, you got to do the other side. So I got plus 25 over on the other side too. So just kind of cleaning that up, I've got x squared plus 10x plus 25 equals 4 now. And I'm going to factor this left side over here. So I need two numbers that are going to add to give me 10 and multiply to give me 25. So if I need to go over to the side and write down all the multiples of 25, I can. Those two numbers are always going to be the same number. Spoiler alert, it's always this number right here. Two numbers that are going to add to give me 10 and multiply to give me 25, plus 5 and plus 5. I can rewrite that as x plus 5 squared equals 4. So it's x plus 5 times x plus 5. I can rewrite that as x plus 5 squared. And I'm going to kind of come over here and work a little bit. So I got x plus 5 squared equals 4. Next step is to take square root of both sides. So take a square root of that, take a square root of that. And on the left side, when you take a square root of anything being squared, you know, we've talked about taking the square root of x squared. That's just going to be x for us here. So I've got x plus 5 right here. The square root of something being squared equals, this is where that plus or minus comes into play. The quadratic formula, plus or minus, or the factoring. You know, when we factor, we have two answers. We got this, and this equals 0, this equals 0, or this equals 0. Here's our plus or minus. Here comes our two answers. So I got plus or minus 2. Square root of 4 is plus or minus 2. And my two answers will come from that. I got x plus 5 equals 2, or x plus 5 equals negative 2. So the plus or minus 2. The equation on the left is positive 2. The equation on the right is negative 2. And then I've just got two little baby equations there. Going to subtract 5, that's x equals negative 3. Subtract 5, that's x equals negative 7. If I were to look at this, I would, first step, take the constant to the other side. So I'm going to add 48 to both sides. That would be x squared minus 2x, leave a little space, equals 48. I take half of this b term. Half of negative 2 is negative 1. Notice my parentheses there. I write the parentheses every single time. So when I punch that in my calculator, I don't miss it. Because negative number squared is a positive 1. And add 1 over here as well. So I clean it up. X squared minus 2x plus 1 equals 49. And I'm going to factor this left side into a perfect square. I need two numbers that add together to give me negative 2 and multiply to give me positive 1. That number's always hiding right there. It's minus 1, minus 1. I can rewrite that as x minus 1 squared equals 49. And once I got that, I have a perfect square on each side of my equation. I'm going to take a square root of both sides. The square root of something being squared is just that something. The square root of 49 in this case is going to be plus or minus 7. Those are my two equations. I got x minus 1 equals 7, or x minus 1 equals negative 7. I'll add 1 to this side, add 1 to that side. X equals 8. Add 1 to this side, add 1 to that side. X equals negative 6. Those are my two zeros. What's it mean to be a zero? It's when you punch that number back into this original equation, it gives you 0. Also means that on my graph at negative 6 and at 8, that's where it will cross the x-axis.